The more you let go, the more peace and happiness you find. The more you hold on, the more you suffer. Have you ever felt that life is too heavy because of the things you stubbornly refuse to release? Not only do the regrets of the past weigh on you, but relationships that no longer matter only exhaust you further. Yet if you dare to let go, you will discover true freedom and inner peace. In this video, you will explore why the tighter you grasp, the more you suffer, and learn the secret of letting go so your mind can rest and you can live more lightly. Letting go is not abandoning, but rather the path to greater happiness. Watch now to reclaim peace in your heart. This video is for anyone who feels worn out by the pressures of life, love, or work. For those seeking tranquility and a more serene existence. For anyone on the journey toward awakening and personal growth. Throughout life, whether in our affections or our vocations, from the smallest kindnesses to the deepest wounds, there are times when we feel someone owes us an apology, a repayment, or at least some justice. But as long as we hold on to those thoughts, our hearts will never truly be at ease. A person can live comfortably when they understand that everything that happens in life is due to causes and conditions, each with its own reason. If someone has ever hurt you, it may be a debt you borrowed in a past life. If you have done many good deeds but received no reward, perhaps in a previous existence you owed someone a kindness. When you view life through the lens of cause and effect, you no longer cling to who was right or wrong, who should or should not. The feeling of being owed something is a burden on the mind. One may resent unreturned love. One may be angry for unacknowledged help. But when you have fully repaid your karmic debts, you will no longer expect compensation from others. You help out of the goodness of your heart, not to earn gratitude. You love because that is your nature, not to receive anything in return. You no longer demand fairness from others because you know that true justice is already inherent in the law of cause and effect. When you no longer feel that someone owes you, your mind becomes truly light. You will no longer hold grievances against those who have left, who have betrayed, who have failed to appreciate you. You will see people coming and going in life like boats on a river, sometimes meeting, sometimes parting. When a connection arises, rejoice. When it fades, smile and let go. Happiness does not lie in someone repaying you for something. It lies in you no longer feeling lacking, in no longer demanding anything from anyone. At some point, you will realize that the only one who can hurt you is yourself, and the only one who can liberate you is also yourself. Once you have repaid your karmic debts, you will no longer await apologies, no longer seek justice, no longer look for someone to soothe the wounds in your heart. You will understand that everything that happens in life is a lesson, and when the lesson is over, there is no need to look back. The person who lives without feeling that anyone owes them anything is the one who has attained true inner freedom. No attachments, no resentments, no weariness, simply accepting, letting go, and continuing forward with a peaceful heart. The seventh sign that you have fully repaid your karmic debts is when you act with compassion and create no new karma. Karma is not just what we have done in the past, but also how we react to present circumstances. A person still entangled in karmic ties is easily overwhelmed by emotions, responding with anger, blame, or harboring resentment. But when someone truly has no more karmic debts, they no longer react out of greed, hatred, or delusion. Instead, they root themselves in compassion and let wisdom light their way. Compassion does not mean weakness or allowing others to take advantage of you. Compassion means knowing what is not worth holding on to, refusing to nourish hatred, and choosing not to react negatively even when faced with adversity. When you have repaid your karma, you no longer care about winning or losing. You understand that every person walks their own karmic path and that everything happens for a reason. When you act with compassion, you create no new karma. If someone hurts you, instead of responding with anger, you choose forgiveness. If someone deceives you, instead of reacting with rage, you choose to let go. When you know how to love others and empathize with their circumstances, you benefit both them and yourself. A person who has repaid their karma no longer argues over right and wrong, does not cling to fame or gain, and does not seek others' approval. They understand that every word, every action, every thought sown today is a seed for the future. When you act with compassion, you leave no new karma. You live a life without regret, without complaint, and without unnecessary burdens. You know that what matters is not who is right or wrong, but whether your mind is peaceful. A wise person does not allow themselves to be swept up in others' karmic dramas. If someone treats you poorly, instead of reacting as they expect, you simply smile and move on. You leave no resentment, you carry no injuries in your heart. That is how you avoid creating new karma and unnecessary suffering. When you reach this state, life feels lighter, and trivial matters no longer bind you. You see that everything comes and goes according to conditions, that nothing is permanent, and that the only thing you can do is live fully in the present, treating everyone with compassion and illuminating your own path with wisdom. A person who has truly repaid their karmic debts is not someone who no longer faces challenges, but someone who meets every situation with equanimity. No anger, no regret, no self-imposed chains. By acting with compassion, you free yourself from karmic entanglements and plant seeds of goodness for the days to come. A life of tranquility and ease, without burdens, is the clearest sign that you have truly repaid your karma. The eighth sign that you have repaid your karmic debts is when you live a simple yet fulfilling life. In life, we are constantly caught up in desires and contests. We think that the more we have, and the more we possess, the happier we will be. But in reality, when you have repaid your karma, you no longer chase after fleeting things. You understand that happiness does not lie in material wealth, fame, or status, but in the contentment of the heart. Living simply does not mean lacking, but knowing sufficiency when the mind no longer craves luxury, no longer compares itself with others, no longer gets swept up in the whirlpool of greed, anger, and delusion. That is when you have truly freed yourself from the karmic burdens of the past. You are no longer bound by endless desires, no longer chasing after things that do not belong to you. A person who has repaid all karma will no longer be drawn into frivolous cravings. They do not seek recognition from others, do not need to prove themselves, no longer yearn for perfection. They simply live with what they have, appreciating every moment of the present. They do not need large amounts of money, they do not need a huge house, they do not need widespread fame. They only need a peaceful life, a gentle heart, and a place to call home. A person who lives simply yet meaningfully understands the value of small things, a modest meal warmed by familial love, a workday passing without anxiety, a quiet afternoon reading a book with a cup of tea. All these seemingly mundane things bring true sufficiency. A simple life does not mean abandoning everything, but rather choosing what truly matters. There are not many things in life that make it perfect. When you let go of excessive desires, you can enjoy what really belongs to you. The fewer desires you have, the fewer worries you feel, the less you calculate, the less you suffer. A person who has repaid all karma will no longer feel deprived of anything, for their heart is already full. Living simply means knowing how to let go of what is unnecessary, not clinging to what no longer belongs to you. If a relationship no longer brings joy, they are ready to leave. If a job no longer has meaning, they can start anew. They are not bound by external things, not letting material possessions control their life. A person who lives simply yet fully understands that the most important thing is not how many possessions one has, but how much peace one has in the heart. They treasure every moment of the present, do not regret the past, do not worry about the future. They know that life is impermanent, and the only thing we can do is live fully with what we have. At some point, when you realize you no longer need many things to be happy, when you can smile even with nothing in hand, when you feel your life is abundant without owning anything grand, that is the clearest sign that you have repaid your karma. For when there is no karma, you are neither lacking nor desiring, you simply are yourself. Living a humble yet complete life, without anxiety, without burdens, without suffering, is that not a life worth dreaming of? The ninth sign that you have repaid your karma is when you have a good night's sleep without restless dreams. Sleep is a mirror reflecting the soul. A person carrying many worries, anxieties, or still entangled in past karmic ties often cannot sleep peacefully. They toss and turn at night, haunted by painful memories, or recurring dreams drag them back to what they cannot let go. But when a person has repaid all karma, the soul becomes tranquil and light, no longer weighed down by old torments. Sleep becomes deep and peaceful. Turbulent dreams, fragmented nightmares, or interruptions in sleep are signs of a soul not yet liberated. When you still owe someone something or still harbor resentment, sleep is affected. You may dream of people from the past. Old scenarios replay, unresolved situations repeat in the dream. This is not only psychological, but also rooted deeply in cause and effect. Karma unresolved means the mind unsettled. When a person remains bound by old karmic ties, their consciousness still fluctuates, not truly letting go, not fully free. Therefore, in sleep, the mind continues to project unresolved issues. When a person has repaid their karma, they no longer carry psychological burdens or emotional wounds. They have forgiven others, released resentment, no longer regretful or yearning for the past. They live in the present, neither haunted by the past nor anxious about the future. Thus their mind is at ease, no longer disturbed by restless dreams. A person who sleeps well is one who has found inner peace. They no longer face jumbled thoughts before sleep, no longer startle awake in the night from invisible fears. They close their eyes and drift into sleep naturally, without forcing themselves. They awaken refreshed, not weary from heavy dreams. Sleep is a gift of creation, a moment when the mind rests completely. When you can sleep soundly, that is a sign your mind is stilled, no longer bound by old karma. It is one of the clearest expressions of liberation. When you owe nothing, hold no grievances, regret nothing, a peaceful sleep is a sign of freedom. A soul without restless dreams is a soul that has truly let go. The 10th sign that you have repaid your karma is when negative emotions no longer control you. Emotions such as anger, resentment, fear, envy, greed, or sorrow bind people in the cycle of karmic consequences. They not only torment the soul but also influence behavior, creating new karma. When a person is still driven by those emotions, it means they are still entangled in karmic debts not yet settled. But when the mind becomes serene, no longer overwhelmed by negative emotions, that is a sign karma has begun to dissolve. Every negative emotion has its origin in the past. Anger may arise from unhealed wounds, envy from a sense of lack, fear from unresolved insecurity. These emotions do not emerge naturally but result from past causes and conditions, from thoughts and actions that still influence you. In other words, you have not truly let go, still trapped in the whirlpool of karmic retribution. Those who still owe karma often allow negative emotions to overwhelm them. They react strongly to undesired events, easily flare up, easily sink into sadness, easily harbor hate toward others. They struggle to control their thoughts, easily caught in loops of suffering. This not only makes them suffer but also sows new karma, prolonging their own bonds. When a person has repaid their karma, they no longer let negative emotions control them. They can face adversity without losing calm. They may be treated unfairly but still harbor no resentment. They do not react instinctively but understand deeply that everything happens for a reason and that the best way to escape suffering is to let go of attachment. A person who has repaid their karma is not one without emotions, but one who does not let negative emotions dictate them. They may feel sadness but do not let it drown them. They may feel anger but know how to transform it so as not to harm themselves or others. They may feel disappointment but do not lose faith in life. In this way, they are no longer controlled by negative emotions. The most important thing is to learn transformation. When anger arises, instead of erupting or suppressing it, observe the anger without judgment. When sadness comes, rather than drowning in pain, seek to understand its root. When fear appears, instead of fleeing, have the courage to face what makes you anxious. Transformation does not mean denial or repression, but learning to understand and accept emotions with equanimity. When you realize that every emotion is temporary, anger passes, suffering subsides, you will no longer be overwhelmed by them. A person no longer dominated by negative emotions can live lightly and freely. They are no longer dragged backward by the past, nor controlled by external circumstances. They live in the present, unhaunted by what has gone by, unafraid of what is yet to come. Their peace arises from within, and that is the clearest sign that they have repaid their karma. A soul no longer ruled by negativity is a liberated soul. When you feel no anger, no resentment, no anxiety, then you are truly free. When someone is no longer controlled by negative emotions, this not only indicates that their karma has been settled, but also reflects a mind that has been freed. Their heart is calm, untroubled. They move through life with ease, untouched by external turmoil, no longer letting past wounds or future fears dominate their existence. We come into this life to learn love, to cultivate compassion, to understand ourselves and others. When negative emotions no longer bind us, the mind can live in its pure nature, a heart full of compassion and wisdom. Then each day is no longer a sequence of endurance, but a journey of awakening and deep joy, independent of anything outside. Living a life untroubled by negative emotions does not mean there will be no upheavals or trials, but once karma is repaid, we meet every situation with steadiness, no longer shaken by storms. We understand that everything comes and goes, and every event is an opportunity to learn and to grow. This is true freedom not born of material conditions but arising from the heart. When there is no anger, no blame, no fear, we step into life with an open heart and tranquil spirit. If one day you realize you can still smile in the face of adversity, forgive instead of resent, let go instead of cling, know that you have come far on the path of repaying karma. And at the end of that path, you find not loss or emptiness, but a life of inner peace, happiness, and completeness. Sign 11 that you have repaid your karma is that life becomes more meaningful. Life grows meaningful not because we have more or achieve more, but because we understand the true nature of everything around us. When karma is repaid, the mind no longer blames, the heart no longer aches. We naturally see value in each passing day. In the past, we may have chased after vanity, believing it would bring happiness, only to find disappointment. We placed expectations on others, waited for reciprocation, and then suffered when things did not go as we hoped. But once karma is settled, we understand that the meaning of life lies not in control or possession, but in fullness of each moment, in everything we do, and in every connection we make. Each morning we awaken with deep gratitude for the chance to experience, to love, and to share. We no longer rush or chase after the meaningless. We find joy in simple things, a peaceful morning, a sincere greeting, a small act of kindness from the heart. When karma is repaid, we stop asking what life means, and instead we create meaning for our own lives. We no longer seek happiness outside, because we have realized that true happiness lies in our thoughts and in how we relate to everything around us. Then we live without regretting the past or worrying about the future, fully present with ourselves and with life. Each day becomes a gift to be cherished, every moment precious. Sign 12 that you have repaid your karma is that auspicious signs begin to appear in your life. These blessings are not random lucky events, but the results of inner transformation. When your mind is pure, your actions benevolent, and old karma dissolved, good things naturally follow as the inevitable fruit of cause and effect. You will notice clear shifts. Difficulties that once troubled you now resolve with ease. People who brought you pain have gone or changed for the better. Work, relationships, health, and spirit all flow more smoothly. Blessings come in many forms. Opportunities may present themselves at just the right moment. Financial support may arrive to ease your burdens. New paths may open when you need them most. These auspicious signs are not coincidences, but reflections of your state of mind and your karmic balance. When a person still owes karma, they often must face challenges to repay the debts from the past. Difficulties, obstacles, and mental anguish are opportunities to learn, to grow, and to atone for what they have created. But when karma is fully repaid, when the mind is pure and no longer entangled in old debts, life shifts in a positive direction. At that point, you are no longer bound by the negative consequences of the past and begin to reap the sweet fruits of the wholesome seeds you have sown. A peaceful heart attracts good things. When you no longer harbor anger, you draw genuine love. When you no longer worry, you feel tranquility in every moment. When you live with compassion and wisdom, your life overflows with blessings. Even after old karma is resolved, if you're not careful, you can still generate new karma. Therefore, to maintain auspicious signs, you must continue to live mindfully and benevolently. Keeping a clean heart means always leaning toward positive thoughts, refusing to be swept into resentment or greed. Doing good means helping others, living sincerely, sharing what you have without expecting personal gain. Acting with compassion means treating everyone with kindness, causing no harm, and avoiding the creation of new negative karma. Knowing how to let go means not clinging to what isn't yours, not obsessing over the past or fretting about the future. When good things come your way, don't dismiss them as mere luck. Understand that they are the result of your own long journey of inner transformation. Accept these auspicious signs with gratitude, and they will help you continue to preserve blessings and live a more meaningful life. These blessings are not marks of chance, but proof of a peaceful mind, resolved karma, and a life moving toward the light. Now, please listen to this teaching. Only by knowing how to let go can you truly touch genuine awakening. A traveler once carried a heavy bag of luggage for miles. His legs ached and his back bent under the weight, yet he dared not put the bag down. Someone asked, "Why don't you drop what you don't need?" He shook his head. "This is all I own. If I let it go, I will lose everything. What he failed to see was that the heavy bag was holding him back, slowing his journey toward happiness. In life, everyone carries invisible burdens, perhaps an old wound, a memory they refuse to release, a relationship that no longer brings joy, or endless ambitions that chase away peace. Letting go is not loss, but freedom. It means setting down what no longer belongs to you and learning to move forward without being tethered to the past. A leaf falling from a branch is not an end, but the start of a new journey. A river flowing to the vast sea is not disappearance, but union with something greater. Only by letting go do we find ease. Only by letting go do we truly become free. Only by letting go do we touch authentic awakening. There was a man who suffered deep hurt. He loved someone who eventually left him, abandoning him in lonely days. He felt bitterness, not because love was lost, but because beautiful memories turned to ashes in his heart. Carrying this pain for years, he appeared outwardly normal, smiling, working, living, but each night his heart was like an old house filled with the clutter of the past. Memories flooded in, hijacking his mind and crushing his heart. One day, he met a meditation master. The master smiled and asked, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse it, who owns the gift?" Without hesitation, he replied, "The giver." The master nodded and asked again, "If someone brings you suffering and you do not keep it in your heart, who owns the suffering?" He was stunned. He had never thought that pain wasn't something he was forced to hold. He had clasped it like an unwanted gift and stowed it deep inside. From that day forward, he began to practice letting go, no longer tormenting himself over the unchangeable, no longer blaming what had passed, no longer holding on to memories that pained him. He soon realized that when the heart is light, life appears more beautiful. When the mind is unburdened, deeper lessons become clear, lessons he had never perceived before. What once seemed like loss was actually a stepping stone to a better version of himself. There are things you cannot hold forever. The tighter you grasp, the more it hurts, like clutching a sharp stone. The harder you squeeze, the deeper the wound. Only by opening your hand do you see that letting go costs you nothing. Releasing it frees you. And only by learning to let go do we truly touch genuine awakening. A man once asked a meditation master, "Teacher, how can I forget the past?" The master didn't answer, but instead poured tea into a cup until it overflowed. The man, surprised, asked, "Why are you doing that?" The master calmly replied, "You are like this cup, already too full of old memories. If you refuse to let go of what is stale, how will you make room for something new?" Life is an endless flow. If we keep looking backward, we miss the opportunities right before us. If we remain immersed in the past, we cannot savor the beauty of the present. A boat cannot set sail if it remains moored to the old dock. A tree cannot grow if it refuses to let its yellow leaves fall. A person cannot find happiness unless they allow the past to rest. What has happened cannot be changed. What is left cannot return. What is past cannot be held again. But that does not mean life is over. When one door closes, another opens. The question is whether we dare to let go. If we continue to suffer over what has gone by, we punish only ourselves. If we keep living in the past, we lose the present. So why not place old memories down once, to lighten your hands? Why not cease regrets once, to open your heart to the new? Yesterday, whether joyous or sorrowful, successful or failed, belongs to the past. The only thing we truly have is today. If we cherish the present and live each moment fully, we will have no regrets. Everyone carries unforgettable memories, old tales that sometimes replay in the mind like a looping song. It may be pain, loss, words left unsaid, or a wrong decision that brings regret. But what matters is not how the past unfolded, but whether we have the courage to let it go. Are you holding on to something from your past that you cannot set down? Perhaps a relationship has ended, but you cannot stop thinking about it. Maybe an opportunity has slipped away and you keep blaming yourself. Or someone hurt you and you cannot forgive. If so, consider how this affects your life. Does it cause you pain whenever you recall it? Does it prevent you from enjoying the present? Does it make you miss the good things right before your eyes? Try facing whatever you cannot yet release. Look it squarely in the eye, accept it, and then let it go. Only when you truly release it can you move forward with ease. Have you ever felt as if you were carrying too much on your shoulders? Worries, anxieties, unnamed sorrows press down on your heart and make every step in life exhausting. The tighter you cling, the more drained you feel. The more you grasp, the more suffering you endure. But if you try putting it down just once, you will see this world is far larger, lighter, and more peaceful than you imagined. A story tells of a traveler crossing a desert with a huge bag of stones. Everyone he met asked why he carried such heavy stones. He replied that each stone represented something he could not forget, something he could not release. When he reached the journey's end, he collapsed, unable to take another step. Only then did he realize the burden on his shoulders did not come from the road ahead, but from everything he insisted on carrying. Letting go does not mean giving up or admitting defeat. It means liberation. It means understanding that some things, if held onto, only wound the soul further. Like a kite, if you hold the string too tightly, it cannot soar in the wind. Like water, if you try to keep it in your hand, it simply slips through your fingers. Life is the same. Only by letting go can we make room for better things to enter. The Buddha taught that if you wish to travel far, you must carry light baggage. Not everyone in life knows this. People live in resentment until bitterness fills their hearts. They regret what is past and cannot appreciate what they have now. They crave too much and suffer when their desires go unmet. Yet all such pain can be released if we truly wish it. Ask yourself what weighs on you most. What causes you the greatest anguish? What makes your heart ache each time you think of it? If such a thing exists, perhaps it is time to set it down. Do not think that letting go is loss. When you relinquish what no longer serves you, you open the door to peace. Like rain washing away dust, or light filtering through tree leaves, only by releasing what does not belong can you see life's beauty. So right now, are you willing to put down the burdens in your heart? That is not an easy question. Sometimes our burdens become part of us. We grow accustomed to them, to the ache of regret, to the sadness woven through our thoughts. But have you ever asked yourself whether holding on to these things would make you happier? Likely only heavier still. Letting go does not mean denial or forgetting. It means accepting that some things have passed, that some people have left. Some things cannot be changed by regret. Like a breeze that slips away no matter how tightly you try to grasp it, or water that cannot return once it flows past, the past cannot be reclaimed. If you clutch at old wounds, you imprison yourself in yesterday. If you cling to what does not belong to you, you forfeit the good that stands right before you. Perhaps today is a beautiful day you fail to notice, a genuine smile you miss, a quiet moment you do not cherish. True happiness does not lie in having everything, but in knowing sufficiency with what you have. Peace does not come from controlling everything, but from the ability to accept and release. If someone cannot love you as you wish, let them go so your heart makes room for new love. If a dream no longer fits, release it and have the courage to move on. If a memory causes you pain, place it behind you to welcome something brighter. So in this moment, are you ready to set it down? Not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because you deserve lightness, you deserve peace, you deserve a life unbound by old wounds. If you are ready, take a deep breath and gently let go of what you no longer need. Then you will see that life still holds many beautiful things awaiting you. We all carry losses and scars in our hearts, but holding on to pain only keeps us in darkness. If we learn to set it down and open our hearts wide like the sky, we will see the light of peace that has always been there. Some things weigh heavily on us, yet we clutch them tightly. Like a traveler bearing a heavy bag of stones mile after mile, every step exhausts him, yet he cannot bear to let them go because he believes they are precious stones. Similarly, we place expectations on life, on others, on ourselves, only to create pressure. When reality fails to meet those expectations, we feel disappointment, blame, and resentment. Old wounds we keep like an unseen scratch we keep touching, only to feel the pain deepen with every touch. An ancient saying warns that hatred is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Yet knowing this pain, why do we still refuse to let go? Because we fear losing what we once trusted. We cling to a broken rope, hoping it might still reconnect, because we prefer familiar suffering to facing emptiness. We choose lingering resentment over accepting that something has ended. We think that if we forget, it means we have lost. In truth, the one who lets go is the victor. Like an old, battered boat, if we do not dare to leave it behind, how can we board a sturdier vessel? Life is a flowing river. Whatever has passed, let it pass. The more you hold, the more you tire. When a leaf falls from its branch, it does not ask why the wind carries it away. It simply allows itself to drift. Likewise, resentment and unmet expectations, when released, leave our hearts as light as a leaf in the breeze. Letting go is not an ending, but the beginning of a new journey, a new version of yourself. So if something no longer belongs to you, don't be afraid to release it. Because in the very moment you relax your grip, you may truly rediscover who you are. Have you ever stood before a closed door and felt as if your whole world had collapsed? A broken relationship, a missed opportunity, a shattered dream. Despair and confusion leave you wondering which way to turn, believing that only that one door could lead you to happiness. But have you ever asked what might happen if you stopped staring at that closed door? If you turned around, you might see countless paths you've never walked. Letting go is not losing everything but making room for new possibilities to enter. Do you remember the last time you cleared out your life, discarding old belongings you no longer needed but clung to out of habit? Only when you dared to tidy up did you realize that empty space was an opportunity to refresh everything. The same is true for the heart. To welcome good things, we must have the courage to let go of what no longer fits. Look at autumn leaves. They fall not because the tree has stopped loving them, but because winter needs space for new growth. Life works the same way. Every departure carries its own meaning. Every loss opens a new path. So if you find yourself mourning something, if a door in your life has just closed, don't stand there knocking on the past. Turn around, open your heart, and look ahead. Perhaps right now, a new horizon is waiting for you. Have you ever wondered why some people who were once so close suddenly drift away? Why relationships that seemed eternal become nothing more than memories? We often think someone's departure means we weren't good enough or weren't important. But the truth is different. Some people come into our lives not to stay forever, but to accompany us just for a while. We are like passengers on life's train. Some board at one station and travel beside us for a stretch. Others sit with us just long enough for us to grow accustomed to their presence, then disembark at their own stop. No matter how much we cling, they must leave, but that doesn't mean they were never important. They taught us lessons, gave us beautiful moments, and left us memories we will always treasure. Their leaving is not a full stop, but a natural part of life. Do you recall learning to ride a bicycle for the first time? Someone likely held the bike steady while you learned to balance. But eventually they let go, not because they no longer cared, but because they knew it was time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. People in our lives are the same. They come when we need them, and they depart when we've grown strong enough to continue alone. Yet we suffer over partings, blaming ourselves or even trying to pull them back, only to learn that the more we cling, the more we let them slip away, because not everyone is meant to travel our entire journey. Some come to teach us love, some to teach us the value of pain, some simply to remind us to cherish what we have, and some to show us that sometimes letting go is itself an act of love. Think about it. Can you hold a flower forever? No matter how tenderly you cradle it, it will eventually wither. But if you let it fall to the ground, it may become a seed for something new. Love works the same way. Not every relationship survives forever. When it's time for one to end, let it go, for sometimes distance isn't a full stop but a chance for both to find their own path. If someone was once important to you, be grateful for what they brought into your life and cherish the time you had. And if one day they leave, smile, at least they were there. Life is a long journey, and not everyone walks the entire distance with you. Have you ever felt that life is too heavy, that worries cling to your soul, that old hurts won't heal? It seems the tighter we hold on, the more we suffer, the more we cling, the heavier our hearts become. But did you know that suffering begins with attachment? We suffer over the past we cannot change, suffer over the future we keep fearing. But is it worth burdening ourselves with unnecessary weights? The Buddha taught, release everything, and the heart will be as light as a cloud. When we learn to let go, we find our hearts at ease and our lives lighter, not because everything around us is perfect, but because our minds are no longer bound by what never belonged to us. So how do we let go? How do we liberate the mind from affliction? How do we live peacefully amid life's storms? This video will help you find the answers. Let's learn together how to release all suffering and return to true inner peace. Are you ready to set down your burdens and walk more lightly? If so, watch until the end, because this may be the message you need most right now. A story is told of a man who carried a heavy bag of stones on his back. Day after day he wandered, never finding joy. Each morning he picked up another stone, one for each grievance, one for each old feud, one for every regret of the past, another for worries about the future. Over the years the bag grew heavier until one day he collapsed, unable to move another step. At that moment, a wise passerby stopped and asked, "Why don't you put down that bag of stones?" The man was startled. "Indeed," he said, "no one forced me to carry this burden. I am the one who picked up each stone and made myself suffer. Yet for all these years, I've grown so accustomed to this weight that I never even considered letting it go." We are the same. Each of us carries an invisible bag of stones, our resentments, our anger, our wounds, and the things we refuse to forget. But have you ever asked yourself whether holding on to these makes you any happier? Life is already full of challenges, yet we heap unnecessary burdens on ourselves. We resent someone, And each time we remember them, we cause ourselves pain. We regret the past, but no matter how much we wish we could, we cannot turn back time. We worry about the future, but no matter how much we fret, we cannot control everything that will happen. So why do we let these things dominate our minds? The ancients said, resenting another is like drinking poison and hoping they will die. When we clutch hatred in our hearts, we only harm ourselves. When we live forever in the past or worry endlessly about tomorrow, we miss the joys of the present. So what hope is there for the future? A woman once suffered for years because her husband betrayed her. She could not forgive or forget, living daily in torment and wondering why she had to endure such pain. Until one day, she realized the person who hurt her had long since gone, but the one who continued her suffering was herself. She refused to release her pain and forgive, and so denied herself peace. If we cling to our wounds, who truly suffers most? Many think letting go is cowardice, a surrender, but in truth it is wisdom. Letting go means choosing what is worth holding and what deserves to be forgotten. It means freeing ourselves of needless burdens so we can live more lightly and more freely. A glass of water full of dirt will never become clear if you insist on keeping it. To have pure water, you must pour out the old, wash the glass, and fill it with fresh water. Our hearts are the same. If we keep holding on to sorrow, anger, and regret, how can there be room for peace and happiness? A meditation master once said, imagine you are gripping a rope. The tighter you pull, the more your hand hurts. But if you let go, the pain vanishes instantly. Why then do we cling so stubbornly to the rope of suffering? Letting go is not something achieved overnight, but if we practice gradually, our hearts grow lighter. What has happened cannot be undone. Rather than blame, accept reality. When one door closes, another may open. Forgiveness is not for others, but for ourselves. When we release hatred, our hearts grow gentle. Do not mourn the past nor fret over the future. Focus on the present and live every moment fully. Do not carry so many unnecessary things, materially or mentally. A house cluttered with possessions feels cramped, and a mind weighed down by worries feels exhausted. Learn to let go of what is not important. If you set down your bag of stones today, would you feel lighter? We often chase peace without realizing that true peace comes only when we learn to release. Does carrying these burdens make us happier? We hold on to the past like a dog-eared book we cannot bear to close. We cherish our scars, touching them as if to remember the pain, clutching our grievances like glowing coals, thinking they hurt others when in truth they burn us. We replay a bitter word someone spoke to us over and over like an endless sad song. We hold a stale wound as if we let go, it would cease to be part of us. We worry about tomorrow even though, no matter how much we worry, tomorrow will come in its own way. A story tells of two monks crossing a river. On the bank stood a young woman hesitating to wade across. The older monk carried her to the other side, set her down, and continued on. The younger monk, agitated, finally asked, "We are monks. Why did you carry that woman?" The elder monk smiled. "I set her down at the riverbank long ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Sometimes the pain we feel is not from what happened, but from our refusal to let go. Each time we recall a painful memory, ask yourself, is the wound old, or are you still raking salt into it? The Buddha taught that letting go is not loss, but peace. Like a clenched fist that grows tired the tighter it squeezes, or a small boat loaded with stones that cannot float lightly. If we cling to hatred, worries, and regrets, how can our minds know tranquility? Some never forgive and never realize that the one most wounded is themselves. Some lament what they have lost and forget all they still have. Some chase a future their whole lives, not noticing that life is passing day by day without truly living. We can harbor anger for years, but if we look back one day, will we even remember why we were angry? We can regret a lost love, but will regret bring that person back? We can spend our lives worrying about tomorrow, but will tomorrow unfold as we imagine? Watching an autumn leaf fall, we see the tree does not hold on to it, the river does not cling to its water, and the sun does not linger at sunset. So why do we cling to what does not belong to us? Letting go does not mean forgetting or escaping. Letting go means accepting that the past is past, the future is not yet here, and the only moment we truly have is now. If you hold a handful of sand, it will slip through your fingers. But if you open your hand, the sand can rest gently in your palm. So try once to set down the burdens in your heart. Forgive to lighten your spirit, accept to soothe your soul. Leave the past behind and let the future come like a cool breeze. If today you let go even a little, would your heart feel more at ease tomorrow? Everyone understands that letting go makes the heart lighter, but when faced with reality, it is not so easy. Old stories still haunt the mind. Wounds long healed sting anew when a forgotten memory surfaces in the stillness of night. Why is letting go so hard? Because the mind is attached. Humans tend to cling to what once belonged to them, whether it was joy or pain. We fear that if we forget those things, life will become meaningless. We worry that if we let go, we will lose a part of ourselves. We hold on to past wounds like scars, reminding ourselves not to repeat our mistakes. We clutch old memories like a dog-eared page we cannot close, afraid that once the page shuts, everything will vanish. But the tighter we hold on, the heavier our hearts grow, and the more we embrace the past, the more the present slips away. It is like trying to grasp sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more the sand slips away. But if you open your hand gently, the grains settle peacefully. Likewise, a boat laden with stones will never glide lightly on the water unless it sheds its weight. There are people who simply cannot travel with us forever. There are circumstances no amount of regret can reverse. Learning to let go is not about loss, but about rediscovering yourself. It is not weakness, but the strength to move forward. If today you dare to release just a little, might you find your heart more at peace tomorrow? So how do we truly learn to let go? Letting go is not a single action, but a practice of the mind. It is like a mountaineer who must leave behind heavy baggage in order to climb higher. If we keep lugging too much, our feet cannot move forward. But letting go does not mean discarding everything, nor does it mean denying the past or rejecting our emotions. Letting go means viewing all things with calm acceptance, recognizing that everything comes and goes naturally. First, we must understand that all phenomena are impermanent. The Buddha taught that all things arise and pass away through causes and conditions. Everything we have today, wealth, fame, relationships, will change or fade with time. When we realize this, we no longer cling to what cannot stay. Letting go is like releasing a fallen leaf into a river. If you cling to it, your hand will grow tired and your mind heavy. But if you gently let it go, the leaf drifts along its course, unchanged, yet free. To let go, we must learn to accept. Life is not always smooth. Unwanted events occur. But instead of blaming fate, learn to greet them with equanimity. When one door closes, another may open. When someone leaves us, perhaps they were meant only for a brief segment of our journey. Some events cannot be changed, some people cannot return. Yet if we cling to the past, we imprison ourselves in a room with no exit. One of the most effective ways to let go is forgiveness, to forgive those who hurt us, and to forgive ourselves for past mistakes. When we harbor hatred, the one who suffers most is ourselves. Hatred is like holding a hot coal, waiting for the other person to burn, when in fact we are the one scorched. When we learn to forgive, our hearts lighten. Whether our minds are tranquil or burdened depends not on external circumstances but on how we choose to see them. Some people lose everything yet still smile, because they know happiness does not come from possessions. Some have everything yet suffer, because their hearts have never known sufficiency. The Buddha taught, one who does not know sufficiency, even if wealthy, is like a beggar. When we know enough, we cease craving. When we know how to let go, we free ourselves from suffering. Practice letting go by living fully in the present. Do not allow the past to bind you, nor let the future worry you. The only moment we truly have is the now. Try setting aside a few minutes each day to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and feel each passing moment. As you focus on the present, you will realize that your long-held worries are but passing clouds across the vast, clear sky of your mind. Letting go is not easy, but it is the path to peace. When we dare to set down our inner burdens, we can walk lightly. When we learn to cherish each present moment, we truly live. If today we begin practicing a small release, might our hearts find greater calm tomorrow? Releasing hatred is not just an act but a transformation of consciousness. When we cling to bitterness, we lock ourselves in a dark room where no light can enter. We may believe we are punishing those who hurt us, but in reality we are the ones in pain. A man once betrayed by his closest friend could not forget his anguish, replaying it over and over as a wound that would not heal. Each recollection reignited his resentment. One day he met an elderly monk and shared his suffering. The monk said little. He quietly poured the man a glass of water and added a pinch of salt. "Try drinking this," the monk said. The man sipped and immediately grimaced at its bitterness. The monk then led him to a flowing river, scooped water into a similar cup, and said, "Now taste this." The man drank and found the water perfectly sweet. The monk explained, "Pain is like salt. When held in a confined vessel, it makes life bitter. But if you open yourself like the river, no amount of bitterness can taint your fullness." Holding on to hatred is like gripping a burning coal. The tighter you hold, the more you scorch yourself. But if you release it, the pain drifts away like smoke. The Buddha taught, clinging to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other to suffer. If we keep hatred in our hearts, we only deepen our own suffering. Another story tells of two monks walking a muddy road. They came upon a young woman unable to cross. One monk carried her to safety and set her down, then continued on. The other monk brooded, and after many miles he finally asked, "Why did you carry her?" "We are monks." The first monk replied with a smile, "I set her down long ago. You are still carrying her. The past is behind us. If we remain preoccupied, we only bind ourselves to yesterday. Life is short. Why waste days feeding our pain? A flower blooms only when it sheds its tight bud. A bird flies only when it leaves its nest. A soul finds peace only when it learns to let go. Letting go does not mean forgetting or condoning wrongs, but lightening our hearts so that the days ahead are not overshadowed by the darkness of the past. It allows us to smile without burden. When we forgive, we do not do others a favor, but save ourselves. If today we release a bit of our resentment, might we see a clearer sky tomorrow? Perhaps you have been betrayed, hurt by the words or actions of someone close. Maybe you've spent too much time dwelling on the injustice you endured, recalling those painful moments and wondering why they treated you that way. Are you holding on to a grudge you've never considered letting go? Sometimes we think clinging to anger will make us stronger, force the other person to regret their actions. But in truth, the tighter we hold on, the heavier our hearts become, like clutching a hot coal, believing it will burn someone else when only we feel the pain. The Buddha taught, those who nurse hatred are like someone carrying a blazing torch against the wind. It is they who are burned. First, hatred can never change the past. It only makes the present bitter and casts a shadow over the future. A story tells of a man who constantly complained about an old friend's betrayal. Day after day, he repeated the same story to anyone who would listen. One person asked, "How long ago did this friend hurt you?" He replied, 10 years. The other said, "So for 10 years, each day you have hurt yourself all over again." The man was stunned. He had never seen it that way. He thought he was punishing the betrayer, but in fact he was imprisoning himself and suffering for a decade. It is the same for us. Sometimes we don't let go not because we cannot, but because we have never truly wanted to. We think we need an apology, recognition, or compensation from the other. But true freedom does not lie in their hands, but in our own. Ask yourself, does this grudge improve your life? If the answer is no, why do you keep carrying it? Letting go is not weakness, but choosing a gentler path. It means not allowing the past to bind the future, so that our minds may be as calm as a still lake, and we may fully appreciate what truly matters now. So, is there a grudge in your heart today that you might try releasing? We often make ourselves miserable with excessive expectations, expecting life always to be smooth, expecting others to treat us as we wish, expecting everything to unfold according to our plans. But life is impermanent. Nothing remains unchanged. They say, the greater the hope, the deeper the disappointment. Because we expect so much, when reality falls short, we soon sink into despair and suffering. A man would visit the fish market daily, always buying from the same vendor because he believed only that seller offered the freshest fish. One day the stall was closed. He was furious, blaming the world for ruining his day. But if he had let go of his expectation, he would have realized he could find fresh fish elsewhere, and his day need not have been spoiled. We are like that. We pin all our hopes on one person, one thing, one outcome, then let our emotions depend entirely on it. We wish the sun would shine always, yet it must sometimes rain. We wish someone would love us as we do, yet they have their own thoughts and feelings. We wish our work always to go smoothly, yet life is not paved with roses. The more we chase perfection, the more we suffer when reality diverges from our expectations. The Buddha taught, when the mind is peaceful, every scene is beautiful. When the mind is restless, every scene is gloomy. Happiness does not lie in having all things go our way, but in our ability to accept what comes. If it rains one day, will you be sad because the sun is gone, or learn to enjoy the sound of rain? If someone fails to treat you as you expect, will you brood and suffer, or practice letting go and find calm? If a plan fails, will you wallow in disappointment, or move on and seek new opportunities? Letting go of expectations doesn't mean living without purpose or hope. It simply means understanding that neither people nor circumstances can be perfect in exactly the way we want. Everything that happens has its reason. Some things come to teach us lessons, and some things leave to make room for something better. Those who know how to release expectations will not suffer over what they cannot control, nor let their emotions depend entirely on anyone or anything. They can calmly accept change and even smile when life doesn't go their way. Happiness does not lie in having everything, but in knowing sufficiency. Someone may dwell in a luxurious palace yet feel impoverished if they constantly demand more. Conversely, someone living modestly can feel abundantly rich. When we learn to appreciate what we have and relinquish unrealistic expectations, our hearts grow lighter. By learning acceptance, life's suffering diminishes. We need not expect the world to bend to our will. By changing our perspective, we discover that life was already full and complete. Each of us carries certain desires in life, perhaps for a perfect love, a successful career, a happy family, or for events to unfold according to our plans. Yet sometimes those very desires become burdens that steal our peace. Have you ever expected someone to love you exactly as you wished, only to be hurt when they could not? Have you ever pinned all your hopes on a single plan, then fallen into despair when it failed? Have you longed for a flawless life without mistakes or losses, then felt helpless when reality proved otherwise? Excessive craving is like gripping a rope. At first we think we can control it, but the tighter we hold on, the more our hands ache. At some point, if we refuse to let go, we ourselves suffer the most. The Buddha taught, all of human suffering arises from attachment. When we cling too tightly to something, we inadvertently bind ourselves. When our desires go unmet, we breed resentment, pain, and blame. Yet life does not always follow our wishes. The more we clutch, the more things slip away. The more we cling, the less they belong to us. Try loosening your grip. Accept that not everything you want will materialize. Believe that sometimes loss is part of life, and that what doesn't come to you may simply be something better you have yet to see. Are you longing for something so intensely that it causes you pain? If so, ask yourself, is it truly worth sacrificing my inner peace for this? If not, why not let go a little and lighten your heart? Some people spend their lives lamenting the past, as if trying to piece together the shards of a broken cup. They endlessly wonder, what if I had chosen differently? What if I hadn't missed that opportunity? But the past cannot be changed, like a shattered cup. No repair can fully restore it. All we can do is accept it and move forward. The Buddha taught, the past is gone, the future has not yet come, only this moment is precious. Yet we often forget this, living in old memories and ceaseless regrets, clutching at things as if they could still be altered. But the more we cling, the more we torment ourselves. If you find this video meaningful, if its words have touched your heart and helped you discover a moment of peace amidst life's busyness, please leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Your feedback not only encourages us, but may also inspire others to find light in dark times. Don't forget to like if you found the content helpful, as your support helps this video reach more people. And if you wish to continue exploring meaningful stories, profound lessons, and philosophies that bring calm and clarity to the mind, please subscribe today. Together, we can spread goodness, help each other find inner serenity, and live more peaceful lives.